Hi, guys. Looks like I'm live. It's pretty cold outside. If you're here in the tri-state area, it's supposed to be cold this weekend, like maybe even snow. Come on. This is what, May 8th? I think so. Yeah, May 8th. That's weird. Like, come on, for have snow in it's the first real week of May, I guess. But what's the saying? April showers bring May flowers, right? Maybe some of you guys have flowers that are coming up in your areas. Hey, Christine, you're first one here, first one to say hi from Easton, Pennsylvania. Do you guys have our weather? I think you kind of do, so it's probably cold there. Hey, Donalyn and Tracy Siebert. Wait, you just gave me the pronunciation. All right, you're going to have to give it to me again. I saw that yesterday you gave it to me. You're saying happy Friday. Hey, Vincent, how you doing? From New York City, and no snow. You're right, with exclamation marks. No snow, please. All right, so here's from Phoenixville. Am I going to assume, Barbara Bristol, that Phoenixville is in Arizona? I don't know. Is it? I'm not really sure. Oh, no, Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. All right, so then you're kind of in my area. Hi, Cricket. It's rainy there in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. There's a whole bunch of you there in Pennsylvania. Wow. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you, Cindy Arnaz. Oh, that reminds me. My husband is on his way. He went to sleep last night at 10:30. I checked in with him just a little bit ago. He said he woke up at 2:30 in the morning and he thought, I could go back to sleep, but why don't I just get up? So he got up. He went and got my Max, our 16-year-old son, Max, out of bed. Max said, what are you, crazy? He said, no, just get in the car. And they left. So they drove. And he said it was better to be driving at night when he was like all alert because he had this rush of adrenaline. And they've gone through all of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. So they now expect to be here maybe at 10 o'clock at night as opposed to, midnight or 1 in the morning. I've been worried about them, about the two of them being on the road. All right. Oh, hi from Sacramento. Hi, Diane Jewel. You know how warm it gets here. I sure do. Grew up there. Such a great place to grow up. Becky Cody, it's going to be 90 here in sunny Southern California. Nice to hear that. I've always done that. New York, California, New York, California. I used to tell ABC, you're really taking a risk when you send me on a story out in LA, because it makes me question, why am I living in the East Coast? But I do love seeing the seasons. Don't you kind of? Hi, Connie Gildersleeve. Connie, I called you Gilda yesterday. I'm sorry. I was just trying to multitask too many things at one time. And you're from Nebraska. And so, all right, TGIF. Yes, sir, Gail, Barbara, TGIF. Oh, Carmen, you just received my book today for Mother's Day. Fabulous. Rebecca Franick from New Jersey. Nan, you're coming to us today from Detroit. In Buffalo. So Brenda, it's snowing? It is snowing. Well, you were really, you're far north. All right. I can't say hi to everybody right now. Diane, hi from Chicago. Patty, Milford, Massachusetts. Ohio. You're saying that you're also getting snow, Tracy. All right. Naples, Florida. Hi, Sue. Lincoln, Nebraska. Susan Macy. All right. So we got a lot of you here. So let me tell you. So it is the Friday before Mother's Day. So I think it's something we should talk about, family and our moms. But first, you know how I always check out what national holidays are being observed on this day. And it kills me that there's a real list. And how do these things get on this list? It's National Have a Coke Day. Now, I don't know about you, but I haven't had a real Coke in decades. I gave that up. But I have to admit, I used to drink a lot of Diet Coke. And I still, if I'm going to go out to a pizza parlor someday and I have a pizza, that's when I kind of feel like I want to have a Diet Coke. Once you get used to Diet Coke, a regular Coke, it's so sweet. And I don't remember how many spoonfuls of sugar there are in a McDonald's Coke, but it's a lot. However, guess what? It's also National Drink Water Week this whole week. Take that, Coke Day. I've pretty much just completely gone to water, except when I'm out. When I'm out, I like maybe an iced tea, an herbal iced tea or a mint iced tea, especially if it's with real mint. Now it's a lot of different days, but I just picked out the ones that were fun for us. It's National Flexible Work Arrangement Week. Every first full week in May is National Flexible Work Arrangement Week. Well, that pretty much covers all of us, doesn't it? We're all doing that, whether we want to or not. Oh, I like this one. Kind of strange the way they write it. National Hug Holiday Week. That's this week. It's always the week prior to Mother's Day. All right. So I know, because this is all leading up to today, we'd all like to be hugging, especially moms. In my case, also my daughters, who are wonderful mommies, but we are just going to have to, I think, cool it a little bit, unless you're in a state where you can do that and you're being super careful. And for all of you, next week is National World Cocktail, not National, World Cocktail Week. Something tells me that a whole lot of people are already observing that one. I've heard a lot of virtual cocktail parties going on. I remember my mom used to say, come on, it's got to be cocktails somewhere in the world. Everyone that knows my mom is laughing right now because she used to say that. So a lot of you also asked me what I've been doing besides our little chit chat. So remember, I came out with a book and the next day the world closed. So you have to go to plan B. So I have been doing a lot of radio shows and podcasts. I have a few to do today. Last night I was on the news on Newsmax news channel, talking about senior living facilities and the difference between senior living facilities and nursing homes, because everybody's hearing the horrible stories about nursing homes and they get worried about their seniors who are actually in senior living, because nursing homes are places where the sickest people go because they have registered nursing care around the clock. I've also been doing a whole bunch of PSAs. So I did a PSA for Meals on Wheels, because that's so important. We have to think about all of the seniors who are not being fed somewhere in a senior community. They need Meals on Wheels, bringing the food to them. So we need that to be supported. I also did a Safe Horizons PSA, because we're all being told, stay home so you stay safe. But if somebody's in an abusive relationship, staying home is not going to necessarily make them safe. And there's been a real, uptick in abuse. And so Safe Horizons, I said Safe Hazens, it's Safe Horizons. So if you know anybody that's in, a vulnerable situation and there's domestic abuse, have them get in touch with Safe Horizons. And I'll ask the people in my office if we can't put up on my page here how somebody goes to Safe Horizons, because that's a really vulnerable population, and that's really scary. Now, I've also done a few PSAs for different veterans groups, Vietnam veterans, but I did one last week for the Maine veterans homes. So I gave a shout out to all the health heroes, from housekeeping to the cooks to the caregivers, to everyone. And also, of course, because they're the ones taking care of all those elderly veterans. And I also made sure I gave a shout out to the veterans, just thanking them for their service to all of us so that we can live this wonderful life in this country. And when I was speaking to those seniors, and I was imagining, because that's what I do when I do a PSA. So you do it with passion and feeling and meaning. And I thought about all those seniors sitting there and, maybe getting a smile on their face, listening to it. And of course, that made me think of all the other seniors who are kind of in their lockdown, of course, for good reason. I know some people are getting a little antsy about not being able to get in, but look, through the glass, it's called through the glass. It's really important that they keep everybody safe. You guys all know I work with a Place for Mom, and they've got a whole cadre of people who are calling all of these senior living communities and just making sure that they are staying closed. And so they're doing it for the safety of our loved ones. And then, of course, you guys, I don't know if you know it or not, but I testified before Congress, before the House Ways and Means Committee a few months ago for the Family and Medical Paid Leave Act, because every other country in the world except two, us and New Guinea, we are the only two countries in the world that don't give paid leave when somebody needs to take time off to take care of a sick or elderly loved one. And they passed legislation a few years ago that at least saved your job. You couldn't be fired from your job if you left to do that. But gosh, for going and having a baby, this is a country where it's a huge percentage of women who go back to work in less than 10 days after delivering a baby. We all know that's not good for you. And it's because they have to financially. So we need this Paid Medical and Leave Act passed. And ironically, the legislation that just got passed that gave everybody some compensation while they're off now on this, because they've been told they can't work, that's really a version of the legislation that I went to testify before Congress. But I was there really talking about our seniors and trying to make sure that they get protected. So I thought we should check in today on a senior living community. And, he's going to think I'm not going to call. So I'm calling a great guy. His name is James Ashley, and he took care of my mom in her later years. Hi, I thought you probably thought, is she ever going to call? I was babbling. You know what Lindsay, Jamie, and Sarah always said, my daughter is like, my mom talks. That's what she does for a living. She talks. And okay, they're kind of right. So I want to introduce you, James, a very special person in my life, to my buddies here. All right, say hi.
Hello, everybody.
All right, so James runs several different senior communities in Carmichael, California. That's a suburb of Sacramento. So this is my hometown. And, you've always been incredibly special to me because of how you kept my mom not only safe and healthy, but happy. And so I want to talk today. And I learned so much from you about how we should interact with our elders, our older parents, or maybe a spouse as they start to have trouble taking care of themselves, and especially if they begin to have trouble with dementia. And I'm inviting all of you out there, if you want to give a shout out to your mom, or maybe a shout out to a daughter of yours who you think is a great mom, this is your chance. Oh, I've got a lot of people saying, hi, James. Well, look at this. Maria Woodward. Hi, James. Rebecca Franick. Hi, James. Marty Cullum. Hi, James. There's just Nan Barry Sakala. Hi, James. Sue Jeffries. Hi, James. Connie Gildersleeve. Hi, James. You got a whole lot of people saying hi. All right. So we've got a lot of people here, and I want them to learn from you because I bring them different people every day, and they really learn a lot from listening. First of all, how are you doing in all of your facilities? Hopefully no COVID-19?
No, we've not had any problem with that yet. But we follow very strict guidelines to protect our residents.
You're not letting anybody in, right? In fact, aren't you even having your care workers sleeping right there?
If at all possible, we want them to stay in-house to prevent any contamination from outside. We have restricted visitors.
Yeah.
and the only people that we have allowed in are essential medical personnel.
I remember when my mom was living in Ashley Manor, and you guys, you got my mom at the point where mom really needed 24-hour observation, I guess we'll call it. So tell everybody, you had the little pad on the floor and then the blow up mattress. How did you make sure she didn't get hurt?
Your mother, I loved your mother so much, but she presented some very difficult challenges for me because she was so, pardon the word, she was so damn smart. She was always outsmarting me. And one of the things that she liked to do, particularly at nighttime, was to get up and try to wander. But that presented a real severe health risk for her because she had suffered a very dangerous fall before she came to me. I think wasn't it in a parking lot? She was outside.
Yeah, she had several, and we were unaware. Although we kind of later learned that she had had a few strokes that affected the frontal lobe of her brain, which is where it kind of, that's where we all get our balance. I remember one time I said, why does she have to sit in a wheelchair at the dining table? Why can't she just be in a regular chair? And you said, because she would fall off, Joan.
Right. Yeah.
Because she doesn't have that thing to upright her.
This injury to her brain, she lost the ability to control her equilibrium. So if she started to lean, if you and I start to lean too far, we instinctively know we got to come back. We're going to fall over. She couldn't do that anymore. So she would just, if she started to go, she'd just keep right on going all the way over. And so she was just giving me the hardest time trying to figure out how to protect her. And so what I did at night was I went down to the sporting goods store and I bought 2 single air mattresses and I pumped them up about half full and stacked one on top of the other, put that beside her bed, and then we used what we call electronic floor mats. As soon as you
touch it,
and they put any weight on it, it calls the caregivers. It's a wireless system. Really, they're fantastic. And I put that on top of the 2 air mattresses that were stacked up beside her bed. So as soon as her little foot came over the edge and she started to stand up, the caregivers would be called and they'd start running down the hall. But she would try to stand up on these half-blown up air mattresses and she'd fall on top of them. And wherever she landed, she couldn't move. It was like, duh.
Yeah, because she was smack in the middle of them.
Right. She couldn't move. And then the caregivers would call me, and usually in the middle of the night, and say, James, come down and pick up Gladys. So I go down, pick her up.
Because he lives next door.
Yeah, I pick her up off the air mattresses and put her back into bed. And once we figured out how to solve her issue, she never got injured ever again. She kept trying, but she never got injured.
Yeah, because she had gone to the hospital with broken toe, broken rib, stitch, what do they call them? Not stitches, but staples in the back of the head. And finally, that's when the neurosurgeon said she has to be somewhere where they're literally going to be, on her case 24 hours a day. And that's when I got led to you. And you also I learned so much every time I would go there. I remember, for instance, because my mom dealt with a lot of dementia. And so she would ask, she never could accept my brother's death. And she would constantly ask, where's Jeff? Where's Jeff? And I would try to remind her that Jeff had passed away. And you would hear the conversation and you would run in from the other room and say, oh, Jeff's going to be back a little later. Because you said to me, don't keep making her suffer that heartache over and over and over, which is not something that I would have thought about, and probably a lot of other people.
Yeah. When people develop dementia, and there's a number of different types of dementia caused by a number of different things, but the outcome has a lot of similarities. What actually happens is that part of your brain starts to die, and the brain is made up of many, many layers. On the outermost layers of the brain, if you can imagine the brain like being a big watermelon, are your most recent memories. And as the disease eats away at the layers, it starts at the outermost layers and eats its way in, but it doesn't do it uniformly. So there'll be some things you remember, some things you don't remember, but gradually the most recent memories go away, and after maybe 20 years or so, you might not remember anything that happened 20 or 30 years before. So that's why when I talk to people who have dementia, I don't want to talk about things that happened last year, 2 years ago, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. I always ask the families, when did the dementia start? And then I know right away we're going to talk about things that happened in their lives before the dementia started, because most of the time they can remember that. Okay?
Yeah, my mom, remember I made all those books, and much of it at your advice. I made picture books. I went and got it. I'd gotten all the pictures out of her condo when I moved her out, of her when she was young and her when she was dating my dad and our early days. And I would make up books. I made many books, and a lot of times it was the same pictures, but I just did it with a different theme. She could look at those and talk forever, but she didn't remember that she had lunch 20 minutes ago.
Exactly. Don't ask me what I had for breakfast, okay?
But also the idea of constantly correcting them when they keep asking things. You said, Joni, you have to sometimes say a therapeutic lie, right? A little fib, but it's a therapeutic fib.
Okay. So what happens when you have dementia is the mind gradually begins to leave this world. The world that you and I know, everything that we associate in our lives, that just starts to fade away, and they move into their own reality. They live in their own world. It's not the same world that we live in. And the problem for us is that we don't often understand that. We expect our loved ones to be in the same world, to have the same memories, the same feelings that we have. But as the disease begins to gradually take over their mind and their body, they cannot relate to the things that we relate to. And so it isn't fair for us to try to force them to remember or to relate and have the same feelings that we have, because they can't. They're gone. And they're not coming back.
And I remember that this caused tension, because sometimes people would come in, the adult children, and they would be like, guess what happened on the soccer field today? And yes, they were talking about the person's grandkids, but they wouldn't get any. I remember sometimes they just look at the adult child and say, that's nice, honey. And then there would be tension, and you would say, you can't expect them to relate to that world. They're just not a part of that world.
That's right. That's right. So here's the rule. They cannot come back into our world, but if we know how, we can go into their world. We can go visit them in their world. But when we go into their world, we have to follow certain rules, some of which you've just mentioned. We can't expect them to remember everything and to relive all the events that are so important, things that we cherish, because they can't do that anymore. But there's plenty of things they can still do, and we can still have a good, meaningful interaction with our loved ones. But we have to do it on their way, their terms, not ours.
You know, it's interesting. A woman here, Nan Barry Sakala, who joins us a lot, she says, James, you're giving a great presentation of the disease. We really have to switch our expectations. And that's hard, because you come in to see your mom or dad, or even a husband who might be, a spouse, and you want to share with them all the things that you think they should be interested in.
Yeah, well, what she said is so true. It's very difficult for us to learn how to interact with our parents when they have dementia. It's not easy, and I don't belittle people or condemn people who have difficulty learning this, because it's a difficult situation. We want our parents to love us. We want them to love all the things that are so important to us, but sometimes they can't. It's not their fault. It's the disease. This dementia thing, it's a terrible, terrible disease because it robs us of the person that we love.
Yeah. And or the interaction. Here's Tracy saying, James, my aunt always thinks I'm her cousin. Should I try to tell her who I actually am?
Generally, no.
Okay. I thought you'd say that.
Become the cousin. And sometimes she won't always think that you're the cousin, but there may be times when she still can relate to you as a daughter, but play along with her and don't constantly remind her who you are, because it's not going to do any good. She knows you. She's going to know you as the person she wants to know you as. You can't change that.
And we have Diane Clothier Jewel saying music is a great way to relate. Okay. So
true. True.
You would always ask us what do they used to be interested in? And if we told you art, and then the senior would say, no, I'm not gonna do that anymore. You would just go out, buy art supplies, put it in front of them, and before you knew it, they were painting. And the same with singing. I would never have dreamed that you would have gotten my mom to sing. I don't even think she sang Happy Birthday at my birthday parties. And you say, don't tell them to sing, just start singing. Is that how you do it?
Yeah, exactly. Your mom was, she became a very good singer, by the way. We had a retired Air Force major, a real hero in World War II. He was a B-24 bomber pilot. And Joe would never interact with anybody.
Joe.
But we would, I think you remember Joe.
Oh, of course I remember Joe.
He sat on the couch out there all the time. He had his spot.
Next to who? Next to my mom. And you told me that, or the caregiver said that one day he came into the kitchen and asked for some cookies. Yes. And so they gave him one. He said, Mac, have another? He said, I'm taking it to my girlfriend. And he took it out to my mom.
You like Gladys.
And my mom loved that attention.
Oh, yes. Your mom loved attention. Joe would sit there on the couch when we were singing, group singing. And one day, unbeknownst to us, out of the clear blue sky, Joe started singing. And it was amazing. And he really enjoyed it. We didn't prompt him or encourage him. He just joined in, and he really enjoyed it. From then on, he'll always sing with us.
And so, again, the idea is that you can't tell. You don't want to tell them to do it. You just get it going. Like my mom was never really much of a card player particularly, but boy, was she proud that she was the reigning bingo champ. You got her to do all kinds of things. And I would come in and she would be effusive and so happy that she was doing something that I would never have imagined she would do.
Yeah, she was an amazing gal. Just incredible.
James, you grew up in a home. You were adopted, but you grew up in a home where your dad was in the nursing home business. You worked right alongside of him. He was a physician, a doctor. A doctor, yes. But he got you involved in the nursing homes. You have, 4 or 5 of them now. You did a search and found your real mom, your birth mom.
I did.
And as she got older, you brought her into your home to care for. You also cared for your adopted mom when she needed. and your wife, your late wife, Rowena, and I'm so sorry. She's such a wonderful, lovely woman who passed away from cancer. Her parents were from the Philippines. You had them there. You obviously were put on this earth to do this. Don't you just feel that?
I do. Sometimes we wonder as we go through life, why are we here? What am I supposed to be doing? And like when I was in high school, some of my friends, they said, "Oh, I want to be a doctor, or a dentist, or a lawyer, or an engineer." I never had any of those kind of feelings. Early on, I never really wanted to be anything special or be in any specific career field.
You are something special, let me tell you.
But as the years go by, we find things that we like to do. I've done a lot of different things in my life, but I've always done things I've really enjoyed. And of all the different careers I've had, and I've had a few, taking care of seniors is probably my favorite thing I've ever done, and it's given me the most blessings. You can't do this for money.
Yeah.
Because they can never pay you enough for the sacrifices that you have to make. But people that do this do it because they love taking care of people.
And I have to tell everybody, James, every time he sees one of his residents, he talks to them about life, about their young life, and his face just lights up with this huge smile. And what happens is invariably they smile. And that's one of your gifts. You just have this gift that you bring a smile to the face. And, for us, we just want our parents, we want them to be healthy and safe, of course, but we want them to be happy.
Yeah, we all want that for our parents.
You used to get my mom up. Somebody just said, all you have to do. Oh, here's Michelle Dillingham. She's
hi, Michelle.
Yeah, she's saying Glady's boyfriend was so sweet. That was Joe. And she said she would always talk to Mom about the old days. And and here is Emily Gorin. She's saying, just play some Frank Sinatra. They'll all start singing.
That's true. Absolutely.
But I loved it when my mom would be sitting on the sofa, and when it came time to go over and either go to sit and eat lunch or dinner or to go to her room, you would go over and you would help her up off the sofa, because it gets more difficult for them to do that. And before you would turn around and put her in the wheelchair, you would always stop. I don't remember what song you always would hum, but you would dance. You'd sway back and forth and dance with her and look at her and smile at her. And oh my God, she would just melt. She would just be so happy that she was getting to dance. I mean, every time I saw you do that, my heart melted.
Mine too. It's a real blessing to be able to bless people and give them happiness and make them happy. No amount of money in the world will give you the same feeling of satisfaction of taking care of people. I've really been blessed with that.
When people start to recognize that their folks, or maybe a spouse or maybe a sibling, is just probably not safe, or just they won't shower alone. You go over and you see that they're not eating fresh foods, whatever it is. When they go to look at a senior community, regardless of what kind it is, what are your recommendations?
Well, every state has different rules and regulations and different sizes of communities that take care of seniors. I own 6 beds. I own 3 6-beds. Total, I have 18 people I take care of 24/7. We're the smallest. Each facility has good points and some negative points. The large facilities, for a lot of people, are a great fit. They worked very well. Now, if the resident needs 24-hour, on-site medical care, i.e., a nurse or a doctor,
yeah,
they're going to be in a skilled nursing home,
yeah,
or they're going to be in a skilled nursing home. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, then if you go down one step below that, you have large facilities that basically do the same thing I do, but they're large. They have their own cook or chef. They have a lot of entertainment.
Yeah.
They're beautiful. So they're just gorgeous to look at. You know, the furnishings and the interior design. They fill a real need. And my small facilities, we take care of people who generally need more care,
yeah,
more one-on-one, more hands-on care. We're small enough that we have enough caregivers. We have 2 caregivers on duty 24 hours a day for 6 people. So they get a lot of individual personal care.
Yeah.
And a lot of people really need that.
Well, it's interesting because I mean, you obviously know that I work with a Place for Mom. In fact, I learned about a Place for Mom there with you. And you know, the thing we find when people, you know, call in is that unfortunately they wait to that point of crisis. Oh my God, she took a fall. Oh my God, you know, whatever it is. And that's the hardest time to be making decisions and to be going out. I mean, you know, my mom was in the hospital, remember, when I came
Yes.
to see you. And fortunately, I had an advisor that actually came there with me. And she opened up the refrigerator, and she went in the bathrooms and looked everything. And I thought, wow, I don't know if I would have done that. But the fact is that those are the things you should do, right? Try to have a meal there, see what the food's like, and don't be shy. Open up the refrigerator, snoop around, and see how the facility operates. I mean, to me, when I met you, that, you know, you had me at hello, because but a lot of it is a gut feeling when you walk in and meeting the people and kind of taking a reading on their passion and their love of and respect for older people. That's what to me was so important.
Yeah, very well said. That's really the heart of the issue. Like I was saying before, you know, people that do this kind of business, they do it because they love it. It's a passion. We don't do it for money, believe me. We can make a good living, but we don't get rich doing this business. Believe me, it's you know, you're on call 24 hours a day.
Yeah,
365 days a year. I rarely would take vacations. When I did, I had a hard time sleeping at night because I'm worried about my people. You know.
You can't imagine how many people right now are talking about their moms and their dads and their later years. And somebody says, too bad every senior facility can't have a James. Michelle Dillingham is saying, your mom's face always lit up every time that James came into the room. And, you know, that's because your face lit up. Here's someone saying, wow, James is what angels on earth look like. Hey, how about that, buddy?
Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right. I'm making you cry. Listen.
Not yet, almost.
Well, my mom, you know, never had to go to a nursing home. She stayed right there as you told me she would. And you really took care of watching over her medications. That's such a huge part because seniors are usually on so many different medications. You had somebody who came in that was an expert that always went over everything, making sure that somebody wasn't taking 2 contradicting medications. Here's Connie Gildersleeve saying, this world needs more James Ashleys. James, I think they felt your passion.
One thing about medicine I want to mention quickly. The type of medicine that doctors practice now, is different than the way your dad and my dad practiced medicine. When your dad and my dad were practicing, they took care of the patient in the office. They made house calls, and they went and saw the patient in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they had pretty much total control of everything that's going on with the patient. Yeah. Now you go to the hospital, you have a hospital doctor on staff, and you may, if you're in the hospital for a couple of weeks, you might have 2 or 3 doctors that handle your case. You've got so many hands in the pot, and these doctors, bless their hearts, they all want to prescribe something. So I've had residents come to me. This is a true story. I had one lady come to me with 2 grocery bags full of meds. 2 grocery bags. Almost amazing amount of medication. And that happened because every time she went to a different doctor, they would give more meds. Nobody ever said, hey, let's review these meds. So first thing I did was I got her to a physician who I knew and trusted, and had him review all her meds, and we got rid of a whole bunch of stuff that she shouldn't be taking, or she didn't need to be taking.
Yeah.
So, over medication is a real problem.
Yeah.
Another side story. I had this one gal who had tons of meds also, and she went on hospice. And when you go on hospice, the hospice providers, they take away all the meds except the real necessary ones. Okay. And what do you suppose happened to this lady? As soon as they took her off all those meds, she got better. She got so.
So you sent hospice away?
They took her off hospice.
Well, that's great.
And she lived a couple more years. It's just amazing.
So listen, I'm going to have to wrap it up. But, the fact that when my mom finally did come to the end of her life, just shy of 95,
amazing.
She had you. I mean, she had me there, but she had you and the other loving, patient, compassionate caregivers. And so she felt comfortable and she felt loved. And it made such a huge difference. And I'll just tell the quick story because you're going to laugh.
Okay.
My mom wanted to be buried in this white St. John pantsuit with gold trim, gold shoes, and her gold Chanel bag. So I came over to your place and I found that outfit, and I found a bra, and I went to find her a pair of underpants. But the last few years had been, shall we say, the depends years. And I said, what am I going to do? I need a pair of underpants. And one of your lovely gals, I can't remember her name, she said, oh, wait, I'll take care of it. She ran into her room and she said, I just bought these. They still have a tag on them. They were a pair of these little bikini underwear. So now I go to the funeral parlor and I give the guy, the director, all these clothes. And I start to hand him these little bikini underwear. And I said, and here's the underwear. And believe me, when mom gets up to heaven and my dad sees these underwear, she's going to have some explaining to do.
Jim, that's the first time I've heard that story. Thanks for sharing that.
All right. So I'm going to say goodbye. You are the best. You are an angel in my life, certainly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me tell your listeners that rarely do we ever get a child of any of my residents that has shown more love, concern, and compassion for their parents than you, Joan. You're just, most people know you professionally, but in real life, you're the angel, not me.
Ah, well, thank you. You made my mom's life happy, so I'll never be able to say thank you enough. All right. Mwah.
Gladys blessed me so much. Always love Gladys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh, may everyone have their parents with someone like that man. All right. I went over today and I know I have a podcast to do at 2:00. So thank you for staying with me, everyone. Enjoy the weekend. Do take real special care. Don't get carried away and do anything that's not safe. You can give your moms and your elderly parents, a virtual hug on Zoom. Somebody will help them do that. But have a wonderful time, and Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. All right. Bye, guys.